Hey guys, here's what you're going to do on the first page. We're going to be solving some trig equations today. I just wanted to get you in the mindset of like factoring by grouping again. So if we start there, like this, you got to do the 2 times the 5. So you need numbers that multiply to 10, that in this case add up to 11. So what you're going to have here, you'll have your 2x squared. The numbers that multiply to 10 that add to 11 are 10 and 1, so plus 10x plus 1x plus 5 equals 0. And then you're going to find the GCF of the first two, 2x times x plus 5 plus 1 times x plus 5 equals 0. And this is going to turn into 2x plus 1 times x plus 5 equals 0. And you'll get x equals -1/2, x equals -5. So that's factoring by grouping. Here, two terms, they have a common factor of x. X times x plus 1 equals 0. So x equals 0, x equals -1. Those are what that's going to look like. So I just put what you're used to seeing in quadratic form. Now, if we take a look at specifically if we have trig equations like b and d, you'll notice it's still the same thing, 2, 11, 5, 2, 11, 5. So you're still going to do the 2 times the 5 is 10. You need numbers that multiply to 10 that add to 11. Instead of writing sign every time, if you want to just think of this about 2s squared plus, and again, if you group 10s plus 1s plus 5 equals 0 and go through the same process that you did over here, what we're going to do is I'm going to start with take this x equals -1/2 and x equals -5. So what we would have here is sine theta equals -1/2 and sine of theta equals -5. So what you need to think about here is in the unit circle. Let me do some erasing here. We know in the unit circle that sine is y and cosine is x. Need a bigger eraser here. Holy cow. Okay. All right. So if we think about the unit circle here, sine is y, cosine is x, and we think about our 4 points here. The y coordinate here is -1, it's +1. So sine can only go between -1 and +1. I'm going to have to bring up my calculator to show you a couple of things here. So essentially what we need to do is solve for theta. We need to undo the sine part. So in order to do that, we're going to use our calculator mode. Make sure you're in degree mode. And then you can quit out of there. All right, clear. To undo sine, we're going to use this inverse sine. So it's going to be second sine. And we're going to type in 1/2. We're not going to type in the negative. The negative is just going to help us figure out what quadrant we're in. 30 degrees, so we get a reference angle of 30. So this part is going to be theta equals 30 degrees. And if we go back and we do the same thing here, inverse sine of 5, again, we're not typing in the negative, we're going to get an error. And the reason that we're getting an error, it says error domain. Essentially, that sine has to be between -1 and +1, and -5 is not. So this is not going to give us any solutions. So theta is 30 degrees. So we need to think about sine is y. Y is negative in quadrants 3 and 4. So we need to get a reference angle in quadrant 3. We need to take this reference angle, get an angle in quadrant 3 and 4. So in quadrant 3, it's going to be 180 plus the 30, which is 210 degrees. And in quadrant 4, it's going to be 360 minus the 30, which is 330 degrees. So we have two answers for this question. 210 degrees and 330 degrees. And if you wanted to check, you could do 2 sine 210 squared plus 10 sine 210 plus 5. That, did I mess something up? Oh, this is 11. Duh. Okay, let's try that again. Plus 11, and this should equal 0. And it does. Okay, so that's the way you could check, and you could plug 330 in as well. For the second one, I'm going to go right down here where we had x equals 0, x equals -1. So cosine theta equals 0. And cosine theta equals -1. What we're going to have to do here is use the unit circle. These are special values. Cosine is x. So the x coordinate is 0 here at 90 degrees and 270 degrees. So for this one, theta equals 90 degrees and 270 degrees. And for -1, cosine is x. That happens at theta equals 180 degrees. So what we're going to have is we're going to have 3 solutions for this one. Okay, let's move on to the bottom of the page and do some key items. Let's delete all that. So key items to remember. When you get a value of -1, 0, or 1 for sine or cosine, we're going to use the unit circle. Draw and label 4 points. Okay, and then you're going to do like your 0, 90, 180, 270, 360 for your angles. If you get a negative value for any trig function, what you're going to do there is don't plug the negative in the calculator. Just use quadrants where trig function is negative. So like you saw in that one we did a minute ago with sine theta equals -1/2, we did inverse sine of 1/2 to figure that out, got 30 degrees, and then referenced that into quadrant 3 and 4.